I'm Nina.
And I'm Andrea, and this is Cults, Crimes, and Spirits.
Merry
Merry Christmas
Christmas
Eve!
Eve! Yeah.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Hope you're having a fun Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve.
This is exciting and also sad because it's like our last episode of the year of 2023.
But it's exciting because we did the damn thing and
We
we
did.
did a podcast this year. The whole year,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, I think this is episode number 32. So we managed to put out 32 episodes while working full time.
That's
Quite,
an accomplishment.
yeah, it is, I would say. Especially when we didn't know what the hell we were doing. So, hey.
No, we learned, and we're still learning, but we're getting it.
Yeah, we're getting
But
it.
yeah, this is also kind of sad episode.
It's a very
But
sad
that's
episode, and
that's how we do it. It's a
I
little
know it's
spooky.
like
It's a little spooky
it's a little,
too,
yes,
but
it is a little spooky. There's some spooky in there, but it is sad. It's a very tragic event that happened near our hometown.
yeah, so that's what we're gonna get into today. We're gonna dive in it.
Diving in. All right.
Swimming in it.
Swimming in it. That's actually kind of fitting for what we're going to be
Yeah,
talking
very
about because
fitting. I
yeah.
know.
Yeah. So, a lot of people dream of a white Christmas. I am not one of those people, but they're out there. They exist.
Sometimes I want one if I'm at my house
Mhm.
or with
And
the
you don't have
people
to
I
get
want to
out in
be
it.
with. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like this year I'm like, no, because I'm scared we won't be able to come back the next day and I'll be
Yeah.
like, well, we're in Virginia for a
Yeah, you
couple
just be stranded
days.
in Virginia. That's not a
Oh
bad thing.
well, it's okay, but
I don't mind if I don't have to get out in it. The power doesn't go out, and
yes.
I can just stay at home and just be cozy. Like, I don't really mind as much, but that usually never happens. Like, every time it comes, like, a big snow, I have to get out in it. I have to, go to work, or I was going to school, and it's just like, I don't care if I ever see snow again.
I know you don't, but in Georgia we don't see much of it. We
Yeah.
do randomly, but
The last time there was a really big snow, I remember it was, like, 2018. I was living in Blacksburg. It was so much snow. Like, I haven't seen that much snow in a long time. Mom was on a cruise in the Bahamas, so I was, like,
very
super mad
nice.
because I'm like, "She's in the Bahamas and I'm dealing with the snow." I couldn't go because of school, and I had to it was exam week in December, and I had to go, to the campus. I had to drive to the campus in all that snow to take my exams because they didn't cancel school. So
Wow.
yeah, and we were sliding.
Shame on them.
Me and my husband were driving, we were sliding on the interstate. It
That's
was
so
super
dangerous.
scary.
I don't know if I would have risked my life for an exam, to be honest.
But
Stupid
anyways,
school.
yeah, stupid school, sidetracked. I don't like snow, but the people that we're going to be discussing today who lived in a place known as Palmertown, they were dreaming of a white Christmas, and the weather conditions were right for it. And
Oh,
unfortunately, they got it. But it was not the white Christmas of dreams. It was the stuff of nightmares.
I wonder happened.
You're gonna find out. Because you don't know this story as well as I do.
No, you've just, we've talked
I've
briefly.
briefly talked to you about it. And we heard about it growing up a little bit with our grandparents, but, like, didn't really know the whole story. Anyways, so Palmertown was, in the 1920s, a suburb of what is known as Saltville, Virginia. Like, the whole area is Saltville, but there were other little communities within Saltville, like Palmertown, Henrytown, and Centro.
Okay, gotcha. Little suburbs in Saltville.
Me and you have actually spent a lot of time in Saltville over the years because our
Yeah, the
grandparents,
Saltville Fair, man. And the
yeah,
subway and the food country?
yeah, food country.
Yeah.
Yep.
The car wash, the post office. The
Car wash?
banks.
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, there's a car wash. I forgot about that. We did go there when we were kids.
But yeah, we have spent a lot of time in Saltville.
Yeah, Saltville isn't as poppin' today as it used to be, but it's still a super cute town. They have an awesome Labor Day celebration every year with some food trucks and stuff, which I really enjoy.
Yum.
Like like you said, the fair or carnival comes
Yeah,
every
that was
summer.
always so fun.
Yeah, we would spend so much time there as kids.
Trying to ride all the rides, and
All the rides. I remember they had a
that was
magic carpet ride. I loved.
yeah.
Um, they also have a wave pool. Do you remember going to the wave pool?
Yep.
Yes, that was fun. Been there many times. And they have this little restaurant. It's like a drive-in, and you walk up and you order your food, and it's called Buck's
Bucks.
Drive-In. Yeah.
You get burgers and onion rings and milkshakes.
Heck yeah. It's the
It's like
food's
Dippin' Dog but
fantastic.
better because
Yeah.
or Dip Dog, whatever.
Dip dog.
Oh, they're both good, but Bucks is so much better. I love going there.
Yes, and milkshakes. I got a
Yeah,
milkshake
dude.
there actually a couple of
Mm.
weeks ago. Yeah.
Every
It
time
was
I come and it's a holiday and it's like they're closed, and I'm like,
I know.
ah.
We need to go next time whenever they're open when you're in.
If they're open the day before Christmas Eve, we should go.
Yeah, we should.
If I get there in
Um
time.
it's so good. Like I ate there a couple weeks ago with my husband because we were in Saltville visiting the Museum of the Middle Appalachians to do some research for this episode. Because they have a really great exhibit there on what we're going to be discussing today, which is the Muck Dam disaster. And the Museum of the Middle Appalachians is a really great museum. If you're ever in the Saltville area, I highly recommend you go. It's only $5 to get in, and it's well worth it. They also have an awesome little gift shop that I ended up spending like $30 in because I found some ghost books,
It just
some
spoke to
ghost
you. They
story
called
books.
your name. They were
They
like,
called
buy
out to
me.
me.
Nina,
Yes.
buy me.
And my husband was there and he was like, "Oh my gosh." Like I think he was hoping I didn't see them, but I did. And yeah, so they came home with me and it's a really cute museum though. It's got a lot of really good information. They even have like mammoth bones and a lot of prehistoric stuff if you're into that. Super cool. But like I said, Saltville, it's not as poppin' as it once was, but it's still super cute little town. And we have so many memories there. It's a great place to be. And I wanted to share a story real fast. Remember our grandmother used to tell us she was because back in their day when they were younger, that Saltville was still the place to be. It was still a booming
Hangout
area.
spot.
It was the hangout spot, and our grandma said she was cruising through Thoughtful and she saw our grandpa, and she was like, "Him, I want that one. I claim him." And he was dressed in all black,
Dibs
and
on the
he's
man in all black. That's
the
my
man in black.
man.
And that's why we call him Johnny Cash, and we love Johnny Cash because, like, the man in black, and that was our grandpa. And they got together and they were married for 50 years, and they had 5 kids, so
Bunch of grandkids.
bunch of grandkids. um, but it's pretty cool that they met each other in Saltville, in the town of Saltville. So Saltville was such a booming place because of the salt.
No, I guess that's why they call it Saltville. Huh.
Exactly. Um, so this is an excerpt from the booklet The Great Saltville Disaster by Carl V. Eskridge. Geologists tell us they have unmistakable proof that a great salt lake once covered the entire valley in the prehistoric days. In time, the lake receded, leaving rich deposits of salt and gypsum.
Salt and gypsum. Don't know what that is, but alright.
I'm not really sure either. It's a mineral, it's something. And Saltville was apparently also known by some other names before the name of Saltville actually stuck, such as Salt Lick, Buffalo Lick, Little
What?
Lick,
Oh
and
no.
Salt Works.
I would go with Saltworks over all those.
Well, I the reason for all the licks is because like because apparently animals, when Saltville still had a little bit of the lake left, it was a salt lake, and the animals would go there and, like, lick the salt and, like, stuff in the lake. So that's why it's all the licks, I guess.
Okay. Guess that
Uh,
makes sense.
yeah,
'Cause I was like,
and
"No, that's weird." What?
but it's fun. I like it. But Saltville, definitely glad they went with that one. Saltville was also known as the salt capital of the Confederacy because it produced up to two-thirds of all of the salt used during the Civil War.
That's a lot of salt.
Salt
Holy shit.
Yes, salt was a very crucial part of preserving food back in the day, and it was a very important resource. It was a very
Resource.
resource. It was a very important resource and still is.
Very much so. Better salt your food. Garlic salt, regular salt, don't matter. Salt it up.
Um,
Not too much though.
yeah, it's not good for you. Because of Saltville's abundance of natural resources, in 1893, in what was described as a merger of American money and British technology by the Mountain Laurel, the establishment of the Matheson Alkali Works plant was established in Saltville. British British
British.
British
British. British.
engineer British engineer Thomas Matheson found Saltville to be the perfect place to operate because of all the rich mineral deposits that were already there. So this is an excerpt from one of the displays at the Museum of the Middle Appalachians, and it read,
On July 4th, 1895, the first bicarbonate of soda or baking soda was produced. In 1896, the first commercially made bleaching powder in the country was also produced. As demand for a greater supply of chemical products grew, the system of supplying limestone by wagons was replaced by an aerial tramway in 1904. That's better known as a bucket line. Limestone was transported in large buckets for several miles to vertical lime kilns, the first step in producing commercial calcium products. Saltville became a company town with company housing for employees, a company owned hotel, and a hospital, and a company store, which was the largest department store between Roanoke and Bristol, which, if you didn't know, is a very long distance, for over
yeah,
50 years.
yeah, it's like from Roanoke to Bristol is a good solid 2 hours or just over 2 hour drive.
Yeah, it's a pretty good drive.
Um, the bucket line I wanted to mention. So some of our older relatives that grew up around Saltville, they told us stories. So there was a the bucket line would go all over the town. So they said they remember seeing it in action. Like it was just going all the time. Like there was these buckets like kind of near like up where the power lines were or something, and they were just like transporting stuff all day long from the plant.
That's insane. That's
Yeah, that would be
insane.
cool to
To
see.
just look up
Yeah.
and be like, whoa, buckets.
Yeah. It was like I
They're
said,
moving.
it was like a way of life. The Matson Alkali Works plant was thoughtful, and it was just their way of life, that plant life, company town.
Plant life.
So the company, they brought a lot of people to the area. Like people wanted to come to Saltville to work there, to have jobs. So it brought jobs, and the plant would produce products like you mentioned, baking powder and bleaching powder, as well as others like caustic soda, dry ice, sodium chlorine products, just to name a few, because there's a bunch of other ones I can't pronounce and I don't know what they do and I
Yeah.
don't know uh, what the use is for them, but lots and lots of chemicals. According to the Cilio, by 1908, Matheson Alkali Works began creating more complex alkali products, which resulted in more chemical waste. And so they had to put that waste somewhere. So they decided to build a dam and put the waste behind it.
Okay.
So this waste was referred to by the locals as muck because it was
Muck.
just this like white, mucky
gross
substance.
looking shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this like really got me when I was doing research. So the dam itself, right, was built
Yes.
out of basically the same material that it was supposed to contain, just a solidified version of the same
Why
chemical
would they
waste
do that?
I don't know. But that seems like a recipe for disaster from the beginning. I'm no scientist, but I feel like over time that shit's just gonna break down, right?
Yeah.
So for about 16 years, the company is
That's a
just
long
pumping this.
time.
It is a long time, and pumping all this chemical waste
Muck.
from the factory behind this dam. So it's building up for 16 years.
It's almost 2 decades.
And on Christmas Eve, 1924, just after 8 p.m., the Muck Dam burst,
Oh
allowing a
shit.
100-foot high, 300-foot wide, and 30-acre volume of that white chemical muck to go hurtling towards unsuspecting Palmertown.
That's not good. That's a lot of muck.
It's a lot. 30 acres of that crap?
That's a shit ton.
Yeah. Um, and so at the time, there was like no official population count of Palmertown, but it was believed that there were somewhere between like 40 and 60 people living in the area. However, because it was Christmas Eve, some of the residents were away from the area visiting family and other places, but in return, there were some
Some were
people
there visiting.
that didn't live there that were just happened to be there visiting, and some of them were actually killed. The force of this flood of muck was so powerful that boulders weighing 15 to 20 tons were picked up and moved over 250 yards.
Man, that's some strong stuff.
Many of the people of Palmertown, when they heard this horrible noise, coming toward, like, they were like, what? I mean, because I can't imagine what that would even sound like.
Yeah, like gushing water or gushing something.
Probably it's not something you hear every day. So you would be like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they went to some of them went to their door and like looked out and they were just washed away or hit with debris. And then other people uh were just like in bed because I mean this was after 8 p.m. so a lot of people had retired for the evening and were excited about Christmas morning the next morning and they were in bed and their whole homes just got washed away. Like some people's whole homes just got picked up off the foundation and just moved downstream with this gushing muck.
Ugh, awful. Muck, it's like a muck tornado
Man, I can't
or
imagine.
flood, tsunami.
Hmm. Yeah, more like a flood tsunami. They said it was just like waves of this just white stuff just coming towards them. And it didn't take long for news of the dam break to reach those in the town of Saltville, as it was not a very big area. Palmertown was actually only about a half a mile from Saltville.
Oh no.
Yeah, so Palmertown residents some of them were actually in Saltville at the time enjoying some Christmas Eve festivities and were not home. But when they heard the news, they started freaking out because they had relatives and friends that they knew were there. So everybody just quickly like started running towards
Chaos.
Palmertown. Yeah, they try to run towards the disaster to help whoever they could. It was like every able-bodied man took off um and when they got there the men just jumped into this disgusting chemical muck and like
Ew.
waded through this stuff, yeah, and made their way to the people who needed to be rescued. And I'm thinking like, okay, this is chemical waste and you're just jumping into it. But in the in the book that I read in the Great Saltville Disaster by Carl V. Eskridge, the muck was described as containing approximately 3% of the strength of ordinary quicklime, and any continued exposure to the body um, results in dry, cracked skin and eating sores, which
Ugh.
responds to a treatment made by applying Vaseline and other grease.
Oh, so you can treat them.
You can treat them, but eating sores?
Still no
Oh,
fun. Yeah, no
no, it
fun.
sounds awful. And some of these men were out there for hours waiting in this stuff, like trying to rescue people. So,
Thank God for them though.
yeah, for real. And it was freezing cold. So it was like I think they said like 28 degrees. That night was like bitter cold. And when these men were able to finally reach some of the people of Palmertown, they were like clinging to the trees. Some were stranded on the tops of their homes, screaming for help. Everybody was scared and in shock. Like, I can't imagine that the whole scene of that night.
Horrific.
And this all happened at just after 8 p.m. in December. So obviously it was dark, it was cold, um, and the darkness just added to the already difficult rescue. The lanterns that they had didn't help. So you know what they did?
What did they do?
So there was like a house that was like already destroyed, that had been washed away, and they lit it on fire.
Holy shit, they were just like, burn the whole house, make a big ass light, utilize what you got.
Yeah. Many of the people that were rescued uh, were injured, and so they were taken to this like makeshift hospital that was made in the lodge rooms over the Matheson Alkali Works general store. And hot coffee was brought in to help warm those that had been out in the muck. Beds and other supplies were also brought in from the store, from the Matheson store, to help. Clothes were given to those who were covered in the muck. Volunteers quickly showed up from the surrounding areas to help. So many people showed up to help at the hospital that some had to be turned away because they had so many.
Oh, that's so
Yes.
sweet.
The few dead bodies that were able to be found that night, I believe there was only 5 people that they were able to find the first night. They were taken to the undertaker to be held for identification. There was still a fear that night that another wave of this muck would come and potentially wipe out neighboring Henrytown, because the muck had so it was like coming downstream like toward Henrytown, and it somehow like clogged up, like the muck almost made another little dam, and the river was behind it not being able to flow through. So the
Oh
river levels were
no.
rising. Yeah, and they
That's
thought
not
like
good either.
no, and they thought, like, it was gonna break, like, they knew it was eventually gonna break, that the muck was gonna break apart, and they thought all that water was gonna come that had been building up behind it, rushing towards Henrytown. So the residents in Henrytown were warned to evacuate the area.
Well, that's good.
Yes, they were able to get that area kinda cleared out, and at about 3 AM, the river broke through, but it wasn't, like, all at once like they thought it was gonna be. It gradually came through. So,
That's good too.
it
Wow.
ended up not affecting Henrytown at all, like, Henrytown was spared, and this is a really weird part. So somehow, because like, most things travel downstream, somehow some of the muck managed to travel upstream to the community of Centro.
Weird. It was like, no, we gotta hit all the towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. According to the Mountain Laurel, the resistance of the natural river current was not enough to prevent the muck from destroying the greater portion of Centro, 1/4 of a mile upstream. No lives were lost, but the property damage was so severe that the entire community was permanently abandoned. That sucks. It just
Yeah.
taken everybody out.
Mhm. And it's a really small area. Like, I mean, because you've been to Saltville, so it's like all this is
Yeah,
like
it's so
within.
tiny.
It's not a very big area at all. So when dawn finally came, on Christmas morning, the destruction and devastation could clearly be seen, and the muck looked like a white blanket of snow covering the area.
How ironic.
A white Christmas. Like, literally, it was a white Christmas, but it's like the worst kind of white Christmas there could possibly be. There were big chunks of muck that people described as looking like icebergs, and
Ew.
there was drowned animals laying everywhere.
Oh.
Can you imagine that being your Christmas morning?
No, that's awful. If you even survived it.
An emergency fund was set up, and the following contributions were made immediately, with others coming in later. Matheson Alkali Works, $2,000. Saltville Chapter Red Cross, $250. Land Commandery Number 9, Marion, $15. E.M. Allen, $250. Miss E.M. Allen, $100. E.A. Holtz, $150. Miss E.A. Holtz, $100. I thought it was cool because the emergency fund was actually set up by Mr. Porterfield, and he was
Oh.
made the chairman. And you remember Mr. Porterfield? He's the
Yeah, from
founder,
the Barter
the Barter
Theater.
Theater. Yes, I thought that was so cool. I was like, "Whoa!" Now it's like linking together.
Again,
Like,
once
yeah,
more.
yeah. Our episodes. I had
Not
no
planned.
idea. Not
Yeah.
planned. So people were offering help from all over, neighboring towns, everybody. I mean, it really affected everybody because it was just like so tragic because not just the loss of life and property and everything, but like that it happened on Christmas when people should be
Yeah, that's
with their families.
being happy and joyous and
Yeah.
cozy and warm.
This event shocked and devastated everyone, and it became known as the year without a Christmas. Because Christmas morning is when people should have been enjoying time with family and friends and opening presents and celebrating the reason for the season. And instead, they were searching for more bodies. At first, it was suspected that maybe over 20 people would be dead because there was still so many people unaccounted for. But the final death toll from this tragic event ended up being 19, so not too far off from what they originally thought. 2 days after Christmas, only 11 of the 19 bodies had been found. The remaining victims' bodies were recovered over 4 more weeks, so it took 4 more weeks to find the rest of the
Ugh,
body.
of searching and digging through muck and debris and
Yeah. Rescuers worked tirelessly for days, but were not able to find everyone. So the Matheson plant offered $25 to anyone who found a body. They wanted everyone to be found. And I looked up
that's a lot of money.
$25. Yeah, in 1924, it was over like $400 in today's money. So not too shabby if you found
Yeah.
a body just laying around. Eventually, every body was found and the final funeral was held, and the town began to try and heal. Several stories and people's different accounts of the tragic night's events started to emerge. And if you're interested in reading them, I found this really great pamphlet at um, the museum when I was there in the gift shop. It was only like $6, and it's called The Great Saltville Disaster. And it's full of different people's personal accounts. And it's kind of a lot to read here on the podcast. Um, but some of these accounts are also online.
So Google it.
Yeah, if you can't make it to the museum, or um, you can find a lot of these accounts online. They're really interesting to read and see how kind of the different stories match up and line up to what was happening.
And how the
It's pretty
muck affected
crazy.
everyone differently.
Yeah. So effects from all this muck made its way as far as Knoxville, Tennessee.
What? That's insane. From little Saltville to Knoxville.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, for reference, Knoxville is like over 2 hours away, probably 2.5 hours away from Saltville. And health officials there were monitoring the water for several days to make sure it was safe because, like, uh, the Palmertown was located next to near the Holston River, and like when the muck flooded, a lot of that went into that river and it made it all the way to
To
Knoxville.
Knoxville? Woo.
And in Kingsport, Tennessee, which is only about an hour from Saltville, uh, there's reports of people being on the banks, the river banks, catching all kinds of fish that were just like washing up, like dying, unable to live in the alkaline, polluted waters. So people were taking these fish and they were told that the fish could be made edible by a freshwater washing and
Ugh.
that they would be
No
okay
way.
to eat. Yes, so
No way,
fishermen were
dude.
catching them, selling them at a local market. There's no way I would have ate that fish. I don't care how
No
well you
way.
washed it. It
No
just
way. It
died
was
because of
swimming
alkali
in
poisoning.
lime water. Yeah, like, no.
Yeah. But yeah, they did that and they sold the fish and people ate it. And I, nope. And so one thing I found really interesting too doing research was there people didn't really seem to be mad at the plant as much. I mean, I guess maybe, but Like,
I was about to say, I'd be furious. Like, you dummy. You did this. If you weren't here doing this, we would still be here.
yeah, and like the the plant, it seemed like people rallied around the plant. And I mean, the plant did step up and like provide new materials for building homes. They gave people furniture and clothes and money and like really tried to help. Um, but also, like you said, it
Because
was
they knew
like,
they fucked up.
yeah, like were they the cause of
They
it? And
killed
it's like,
people.
yeah, and
20
I don't,
people. 19.
night,
My
yeah,
bad.
but I don't think I could move past that. And then,
Be
want to
like, oh,
still
thanks for the new
having,
house, but I have no daughter.
yeah,
Thanks.
like some people lost like multiple family members,
I don't know how they didn't
and
burn
you're,
the company down.
like I said, I don't know if I could move past it if it was the company's fault. But was it the company's fault?
Well, it's their muck. It's their
It is their
disaster.
mark. Yeah,
Oh
but
wait, it's their muck, their dam, their disaster.
that should be on a t-shirt. Their muck, their dam, their
Yeah, it should be.
um but so there were several theories as to what happened, what caused the dam to break. So
Okay.
one being that gas may have gathered under the muck, forcing the dam to break and push the muck out.
Yeah, but that's
Another
still their
theory,
fault.
it's still their muck, right? It's still there
Yeah.
because of them. So another theory was that maybe there was like some slight tremor, like earth tremor, which apparently is a common thing in the area of Saltville. I didn't know that. Um, but they think maybe a tremor could have broke the dam. Also, it is believed that the recent heavy rains that the area had received may have added great pressure to the tons of muck, and it caused it to break through. But there's even another theory that someone actually blew up the dam with some
No way.
explosives.
No
Yes.
way. That's a
All those,
juicy one. Let's hear it.
yes. So, a man by the name of Roy Patrick, he was like 27. He was actually arrested and held without bond in Marion, Virginia, which is, if you don't know, it's about, I want to say 10 or 15-minute drive from Saltville, not far. Authorities supposedly declared that they had evidence that Mr. Roy Patrick used several sticks of dynamite to cause the dam to break.
That's fucked up, Roy.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Allegedly, Roy held a grudge against the Matheson Alkali Works Company for refusing to hire him.
So kill a bunch of random strangers? Oh my goodness.
Old Roy denied the charges against him and
Of course he
stated
did.
that the charge was a result of animosity of persons who have it in for him.
He sounds angry and bitter.
He was held in Marion, like I said, instead of Saltville because they thought if the people of Saltville, if he was in Saltville, like the people there would try to hurt or kill him, like for
Yeah,
what
they
he
would.
allegedly did. Yeah. And so that's why they kept him in Marion. And eventually they took the evidence that they said they had to a grand jury, and the grand jury like deliberated, and they came to the conclusion that there was not enough evidence for this case to go to trial. So everything just got dismissed. So I'm wondering what kind of evidence they had, because that I
Probably
couldn't find that
hearsay.
anywhere. Probably
Probably,
because
oh, John Paul saw you over there around this time and you had sticks in your hands near the dam.
he supposedly made all these threats, and I don't know if he specifically threatened to blow up the dam or if he just
Unless
was
it
like,
came from, like, the company. They were like, hey, he's been threatening us.
yeah, like I don't
Or
know
unless the
exactly.
company was trying to throw him under the bus and cover their ass.
I know, I thought that too. It's like were they trying to say like, oh yeah,
Like,
there was someone with
manipulate the, yeah. Yeah,
explosives, yeah, because like and then other people just started placing the blame on this guy because they had heard him make threats.
And
Like,
maybe
maybe
he
not.
already sounds like an angry person, so he probably don't got a lot of friends.
Yeah. Well, he was married and he had 2 kids. I did read
Oh,
that.
well, never mind.
Yeah. But
Someone liked his ass enough to reproduce.
yeah. But I feel like maybe they were trying to make him a scapegoat
Yeah, I think
because they
that
didn't
too a
want
little bit.
they didn't
All
wanna
the blame
place
on
the
them.
blame. Mhm. Um,
Yeah, I can see that story.
mhm.
That that being a theory for sure.
So, who knows what caused the Muck Dam disaster? It's still a mystery to this day, but there's several theories.
It happened.
But it did happen, and it's a horrible, tragic event in Saltville's history. And next year on Christmas Eve, it will be 100 years since this tragic event occurred,
That's
which
pretty
is
wild.
crazy. Yeah,
100 years. Oh, that's a long time. That's a century.
a long ass time. Um, so now we're gonna read the list of the victims from the disaster. Several of them were children, and we're gonna read their ages, which is just so like it's heart wrenching.
Charles Emery Clear, 5 years old.
James Claiborne Major Scott, 72 years old.
Opal Jane Polly, 10 years old.
Okay, and so the next several people are kind of grouped together because they were like from the same families. So the Walk sisters, Lonnie Mae Walk, 10 years old. Laura B. Walk, 7 years old. Christina Walk, 5 months old.
The Stout family. Ida Lee Tolver Stout, 24 years old. Mary Llewell Stout, 4 years old. And Roy Lee Stout, 1 year and 8 months old.
The Jackson family. Nanny Jane Blackwell Smith Jackson, 45 years old. Maxie Thompson Jackson, 18 years old. Hazel Jackson, 2 years and 5 months old.
The J.D. Harry Prater family. John David Harry Prater, 49 years old. Mammy Bella Lloyd Prater, 36 years old. Leslie Edison Prater, 3 years old. And Bessie Geneva Prater, 10 months old.
The Hiawatha Prater family. Hiawatha Prater, 25 years old. Leota Jackson Prater, 19 years old. Hiawatha Junior Prater Jr., 1 year old. So, did you see the ages on that?
Yeah, some were like babies, not even a year old.
Yeah, literally babies. Like 5
That's so
months
sad.
old,
Yeah.
10 months old. It's like and most of them were children. Most
And
of the
like
victims were children.
families,
And whole yeah,
like whole
several family
families.
just gone. After this disaster, the Matheson plant ended up staying open for almost like 50 more years.
No way. Did they build
Yes.
another dam?
No, they found some other way to dispose of the waste, and I don't know exactly. I know they like built these like pipes or something, and like tried to transport the waste into like some kind of a sinkhole, temporarily, and then they
Weird.
came up with some other solution, and I'm not sure what the final solution ended up being, but they found another way, not building another dam. I think a lot of people would have been pissed if they started building another dam, but um they went through a few name changes though over the years. I think they went from being the Matheson Alkali Works to Matheson Chemical Corporation, and then at some point they merged with another company and became known as the Olin Matheson Chemical Corporation. And then I think eventually they were just Olin or Olin Corporation. And in 1972, Saltville became known as the town ecology shut down. And to explain, I'm going to read an excerpt from one of the exhibits at the Museum of the Middle Appalachians
Yeah, because I
to
don't
kind
know
of
what you're talking about, so please
yeah.
explain.
Yeah, so soon after the expanded environmental awareness brought on by the first Earth Day, the 1972 closing of the chemical plant brought an end to decades of economic prosperity. Chemical manufacturing had created environmental concerns, and some company executives blamed the union that organized at the plant in the 1960s. Changing economics in the chemical industry was the real reason, though. Cheaply mined soda ash from Wyoming saturated the market. All eastern U.S. ammonia soda plants of an earlier generation were closed by the 1980s. So
Oh, so they
basically,
found a different way,
yeah,
cheaper
there was
way.
cheaper stuff being mined in Wyoming that saturated the market, and um, basically the plants putting out all the kind of pollution. They're polluting the environment, and so there was environmental concerns, and that's what kind of led to not just this plant, but all the type of plants like it being shut down by like the 1980s.
Makes sense. Good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it wasn't good for Saltville though, because Saltville was that plant. Like it. That's
Yeah,
why
that's all it
Saltville was
was.
so booming. Yeah, and so when this plant closed, it actually kind of sent Saltville into like a really
Ghost
bad
town.
period. Yeah,
Yeah.
like devastation. It was like it became a ghost town, and that's why it's not as poppin' as it was, but it's
Yeah.
still like a really great town and it's a really
Yeah,
nice
there's
place to
little
be.
cute little places to go.
Yeah, they have a great museum, great library, great food, great little community events. I mean, it's a good place to be. Still after all these years. It just it was more populated and it was more of a popular area when this plant was in operation. And the area where this happened has been, kind of cleaned up, almost 100 years later, obviously, but you can still see remnants of this white muck. And me and my husband were looking
That's
on Google
crazy.
Maps. Yeah, and we found a white area, and you can see it on Google Maps, like it's
It's
still
just
there.
muck. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's just like this whole white area, and that's what it is. It's from the Muck Dam, and um, we're gonna try to go out there and get some video of it at some point. We tried to get some, but we were in just kind of like a bad spot. Like we couldn't really see it. It was further down, but we're gonna go back and try to get
Hell yeah.
better video. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's still there's still
There.
remnants of this stuff. Yeah, there 100 years later almost. So, um, and for
Spooky.
all of you that love the paranormal side of this podcast,
Oh.
um, this is for you. So, the local lore in Saltville is that if you are in the area where the Muck Dam disaster happened, you're in what used to be Palmertown, at 8 o'clock or just after 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve when the dam broke. Supposedly, you can hear the screams and like all of this residual energy happening.
Ah, chills. That's so crazy. Hearing people screaming,
Yeah,
ghosts screaming.
yes. And today is Christmas Eve, so if anyone's listening
Yes.
is in the Saltville area,
If you want to go over there
yeah, you might.
around
If you hear
8,
anything, let us know.
record it.
I really would love to set up like an experiment next year because next year is like the 100th anniversary. So I feel like if you're going to
Yeah,
get
that'd be
any
cool.
residual energy happening,
Do
it would
it on an
probably happen,
anniversary. Yeah.
yeah, on 100 years. So I really want to set up like an experiment next year in that area and see if we hear anything. So hopefully we'll come
I'm
back
down.
around to that.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. All right. that pretty much does it on the Muck Dam disaster.
That's it for Muck Dam.
And we did the damn thing. No pun
We
intended.
did the damn thing. Oh shit, damn. Took me a second.
But
yeah, Merry Christmas Eve.
Merry Christmas Eve. We hope everybody has a safe holiday.
Yeah, happy holidays. If you don't celebrate Christmas, happy other holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays. And yeah, so we'll be back with new episodes in 2024 in February. So keep an eye out. We're taking a little bit of a longer break just so we can kind of try to get ahead on some of our content. And we're working on new episodes as we speak, putting them together. So yeah,
it just takes time, my friends. It just takes some time.
But we did 32 freaking episodes this year. I'm so proud of that.
I'm clapping for us. Let's go. We did the damn thing. Country cousins in here.
Country cousins for life.
I love it. Yeah, wait for 2024. We're bringing that hype energy all year.
Yes. And we have a lot of really good episodes planned. And we're going to do more like local episodes, kind of like this, that maybe people haven't really heard of. Because I feel like last year we did a lot of like more high profile stuff that's already been done. Yeah. And this year we're going to try to focus on more local stuff that maybe you haven't heard of. So, yeah. Because we don't want to do
have a good rest of the year. Happy New Year. We'll see y'all in 2024.
Yes. Stay
spooky. I think that's the first time we got it on cue without like even meaning to do that.
Well, final episode. It's a good time to do it.
Going out with a bang.